Welcome, Pisces, to your in-depth forecast for June 2019 for the Sun or the Ascendant. This month begins with the Sun and also Mercury in the sign of Gemini, which for you is very much about your environment. It's about how you feel things. It can be to do with links with the family as well, and to do with where you live and how you live there. On the 3rd, there is a new moon. So this is a wonderful opportunity, if you wish, to reinvigorate your home environment, perhaps through some kind of declutter, repainting push. Perhaps you may decide to work from home, coming through the auspices of Mercury. Or it's also possible that there may be some developments within your family life, which can be really positive too. But wherever you find yourself located, you need to feel comfortable so that you can flourish. So feeling that the ambience is very pleasing to you, peaceful, soothing, spending time in nature, all these things can be to the fore as this month begins. And they're going to be really supported strongly by the new moon, which occurs on the 3rd. However, right at the start of this month, Venus, the planet of relating, is located in the sign of Taurus, along with the rather restless energies of Uranus. But Venus is forging an ace link with Pluto in the first week of June, and Pluto is located in your sector of friendship and sociability. Pluto is a very deep and potent influence. It can stir up lots of different issues around what you want from your future, and also because Saturn, the planet of structure, but also conditioning to do with your past, is so closely aligned to Pluto in the first 2 weeks of this month. I do feel that the type of people you're hanging around with, the people that you're affiliated or associating with, are going to be very important to the story of this month. There can be some friendships that are going to be critically important to you, but some could make way for new energy. But initially, this link between Venus and Pluto is absolutely gorgeous and points towards a special conversation. But I think that conversation, to really activate in your heart, needs to be with someone who's really relating with you in a more emotional and an empathetic way. And that's the energy that's coming through the Sun and also Mercury. Now on the 5th of this month, Mercury relocates into your sister water sign of Cancer. Laying in wait is the rather thrusting energies of Mars, but also the more karmic vibe of the North Node, which has been in the most playful, self-expressive part of your scope since November the 7th last year. And that is forging the North Node, which is kind of mini Jupiterian influence, so really quite positive. It's forging a beautiful link to Neptune, your co-ruler, which is located in your zodiac sign, and that association goes on for the whole of this month. If ever there was an opportunity for you to be true to yourself, it's going to come from that particular aspect. That can be very fortunate for you. Mars, on the other hand, is about instant gratification. It's about desire. It's the more masculine influence in relating, and of course it is also about neat energy. And in the 5th house, it can give you a really lovely, sexy aura. So if you are single, the combination of Mercury in a playful location from the 5th and forging an ace angle to Uranus for about 3 days could see you being a little bit more unpredictable, but in a very positive way, having a sudden connection with someone. You're going to have more confidence about how you look and appear coming through Mars, but the heart stuff, which is so important for you to really thrive, is really activated by that angle between the North Node and Neptune, which provides a backdrop for the whole of this month. What's not to like? There's also a link, an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter, which occurs in week 2. This does need a little bit of care, I feel, because this suggests that you may suddenly develop a yearning for the perfect home, and if you decide to move on the back of this influence, you could be quite ambitious about the type of place you make a pitch for. But it's important with Jupiter, particularly as it continues its retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius, just to factor in what would happen if your personal circumstances changed. If they did, would affordability really be an issue? So if you do find yourself picturing in your mind the perfect home, or spending a lot more money on an existing residency in order to upgrade it, you have to think about the viability as well, because the Sun's opposition to Jupiter could see you be a bit over ambitious. However, this is a very generous influence, and if you do want to lay on some kind of gathering, perhaps a barbecue if you're in the northern hemisphere, for loved ones or friends, your chances are you're going to be an absolutely brilliant host and make sure that everybody's needs are met, and also be great fun too. Now, it is true to say that as much as there is the vigour that comes from Mars in the sign of Cancer, essentially Mars is a fire energy. And, okay, it is the co-ruler of Scorpio as well. And in that sense, I guess, in its combination with Pluto, the more modern ruler of Scorpio, it's quite a sexual, lusty, and passionate influence. But it is the ruler of Aries, so it is stimulated a little bit by the water of Cancer, as you would imagine. But we must remember that Cancer is actually a cardinal zodiac sign. That's to say it's angular, it's one of leadership. So Mars going through this area could give you a real desire to demonstrate your talents to people. And also it can see you being much more acquisitive around having fun, playful, but also potentially around your love life. But there is a bit of a gotcha that you need to be aware of this month, Pisces, because from the 10th through to the 18th, there is a tricky opposition between Mars and Saturn. Saturn, as I said before, is about your conditioning. So it's what you were taught in the early part of your life about association with others. If you're someone who's very comfortable in groups of people, the chances are that that is something that you take in your stride. If you were kind of conditioned that maybe outside people were a threat, you may be someone who's happier in your own company. The 11th house is very much an Aquarius influence, so it can be very sociable, or it can be more of a lone wolf. So depending on your particular nature, the opposition between Mars and Saturn that goes across those days is an opportunity to thrive socially or be a bit challenged socially. It just depends on your unique circumstances and therefore your unique being. But I do feel you could suddenly feel a bit blocked about something that is important to you, that has been going well, that has been flowing along, and suddenly there is some kind of opposition or limitation into what is your heart's desire. So just bear that in mind. But then Mars goes into an opposition with Pluto, and this gets a whole lot more hot. Because if you think about it, these are the two rulers of Scorpio, as I said before. But if they're in polarity, that points towards some kind of opposition around a long-term hope, the 11th house, which is where Pluto is. Pluto is about transformation, Saturn's about structure. But when Saturn goes through each part of the zodiac, it can break down as well as ask us to focus on what's essential in that part of your situation. So this could be a point where you come to a position where you're very lusty in your desire for an individual or a particular way of living your life, but will it work out for you? Because we can't demand that someone is at our side. It has to be something that's mutually suitable. And I think the opposition with Mars and Pluto can make us quite potentially ruthless, or really getting what we want from a situation, but at the expense of how someone else feels. So if there is someone in your friendship group, for example, that you hugely fancy, and you decide you're going to make a move for them, you have to be aware of what the politics are, which is Pluto. If it works out well, it could be a match made in heaven where there's an enormous sexual connection. Or If it's not the right relationship, you could make a pitch for someone but then lose them as a friend, or it could have an impact on the wider group. So just be aware of the politics of your romantic relationship. And also, you perhaps need to be conscious of how any moves you make around your love life will be viewed by the other people in your world who are important to you. This brings us through to the full moon, which occurs on the 17th in Sagittarius. This is the part of your horoscope to do with how you interact with the world at large. Because the Sun, and initially Mercury, and from the 9th of this month Venus, when that moves into Gemini, are all asking you to be concerned about your environment, it's important on the back of this full moon not to make a pitch for that ambitious side of your nature that is not sustainable by your sense of comfort. So, for example, if you've got a great job that was paid super amounts of money, but it sees you at completely the opposite end of the country, starved of support, friendship, and pleasure, then perhaps it's going to be an empty win. So just bear that in mind about balancing ambition with what feels comfortable. But then we have the summer solstice, which occurs on the 21st, followed by the transition of the Sun into Cancer on the 22nd, which for you, I feel, can be utterly delightful. It too, like Mercury before, is going to link beautifully with Uranus. So it points towards surprise conversations and lovely, unpredictable connections. But again, remember the power of Mars opposite Pluto in the background. Are you yearning for something purely through lust, or because it's the right relationship for you? That's the question that only you can answer. But I do think it's a generally very positive change for you, and the last 10 days of this month, therefore, are a chance for you to be a freer spirit, to demonstrate to people what a one-off you are, and to have fun, enjoy life. That's what it's about. I said to you before that Venus moved on the 9th, so there may be the opportunity to host that party, as I mentioned, or you could find yourself doing something around your outdoor space, or perhaps some kind of redecoration, which was also possible on the back of that new moon. So there can be the opportunity to enhance your environment, your home space, even work from home. Venus can be about money, but there can also be the chance to grow your relationships within your family, but in a more sociable way. But I think at the heart of this month is not that opposition between the Sun and Jupiter, nor the one between Venus and Jupiter in the last week of this month, which again can be desirous, but in a gentle way. No, I think it is the dust-up between Mars and Saturn and Mars and Pluto, right at the heart of this month. And this could see you going through some kind of major choice, a new beginning, or a breaking point in an existing relationship, or perhaps you will have an amazing connection with someone that really will make your pulse race. But whichever scenario works out for you, this is going to be one of the most memorable of all months. Thank you for having joined me at your monthly horoscope forecast. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to know more about what's going on in your situation, go on a journey of discovery beyond your zodiac sign by embracing your personal astrology. This is based on your time, date and place of birth. And if you no longer live in the same location where you were born, in terms of your forecasting, I can relocate you to where you are living now. Not a lot of services like this offer that particular feature. But equally, I use a form of forecasting called directions. This is where we take your personal horoscope when you were born, your natal chart, and advance it for roughly 1 degree for every year of your life. These are particularly impactful. The influence that they have on your natal positions, but also on moving planets that they impact upon now, the transits, really are very powerful. To find out about this, and also if you buy a character analysis and a forecast at the same time, I will give you a 30% discount. Please see the link beneath this video. This is an opportunity to understand some of the more trying patterns that have kept occurring in your life, but also to overcome them, but also embrace the positive opportunities you have to grow and to make the most of your innate talent and skills. And there will be information that can really take your breath away. It's so much more powerful than just your sun sign. Thank you.